green. Are you an ultimate Eagles football fan? Well, you're in the right place. This is Birds 365, hosted by the new Mac and Mac, Jody McDonald and John McMullen.
Here we go!
Who collectively have covered and talked about more than 50 plus years of Eagles football. Kick off your day with Birds 365. You'll get debate.
We love to argue.
You'll get the real story from inside the locker room. And you'll hear from some of the great football minds from around the region. You're about to become an Eagles insider. Get in the game. Join Jody Mack and Johnny Mack and join the football community that flocks to Birds 365. Birds 365 starts right now.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
And a good morning, Birds fans. A dirty dozen days until the season gets underway. And dirty is a good word to use today because it's a dirty deed that a lot of NFL teams, all NFL teams have to do, and that's cut their roster down to 53. So a lot of guys who came in, worked hard in preseason camps and off-season workouts are going to be told, yeah, you're not quite one of our best 53. The Eagles will have to do that before 4 o'clock today. They got a little bit of a jump start on it tomorrow. And Johnny Mack and I will, with the help of two of our better buds and guests, will try and get you up to speed on what's probably going to look like the original 53-man roster today. Johnny Mack, you tweeted me or texted me about an hour and a half, 2 hours after the show to let me know that JAKIB Tart was going to be one of those players who are not on the original.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me, Jody. I flew too close to the stars, man. I was trying to hit a home run. I'm trying to win this thing. The Eagles beat right of roster. And I said, you know what? The backup safeties were so bad. Maybe they default to the veteran status of JAKIB Tart. And I put him on there. I didn't want to put him on there because he's done nothing. And I outthought myself. I outmanaged myself in baseball terms. They did everything. And we told our favorite listeners, JAKIB's the best safety on the Eagles. Well, by the way, are we getting our apology there?
Yeah.
Did we get it yet?
We'll keep an eye on the stream today. I'm guessing Dominique goes low profile today.
Yeah.
And just let me interrupt here because I'm going to be a pain in the rear end. I got no problem with people who disagree with us.
Oh, no problem.
We get guys on the stream. I get people call me on WIP. Both John and I have Twitter accounts, so people will respond to things that we say, or in John's case, right. You can disagree all you want. Shoot, I'm wrong a lot. I get that. And I'm one of the few, the proud, who's willing to admit when he's wrong. And I think McMullen is for the most part, too. Just don't make it personal. It's you media guy. And I hate when people do that.
No, we're all the same. Yeah.
Big media.
I always joke we're having
lunch. Media guys don't understand. You media guys. As long as you're not nasty about it, you just want to go, sorry, John. Sorry, Judd. I think you missed a boat on this one. That's perfectly fine. But our JAKIB Tart fan, who you and I both said from the day that he was acquired, okay, we'll see. I don't know. Why did San Francisco separate from this guy? They're a smart defense, good defense. He's up there in age. I don't know that this guy's a lock to come in. The best safety on the Philadelphia Eagles. And you and I were both well off base to question as to whether it was a good signing for the Eagles. Well, he's the first cut down to 53 from 80. Let me go there with the question, and I want to let you respond any way, shape, form you want as well. Why do you think he was the first? Why do you think? Because that's early. And not only was all of yesterday's releases early as compared to those who are going today, but he was the first of the bunch. Are they giving him a chance to sign on with another team? Why do you think they made JAKIB the tart of their list?
I don't believe he was the first. He was the second. Cameron Tom was the
Okay.
first.
My apologies to
But we're talking,
Chikowski.
we're talking minutes. One was like right after the other. Which, by the way, Cameron Tom, another ill part of the NFL. He played every single snap in the preseason finale, Jody.
Wow.
Every single snap. All 65 offensive snaps that poor guy had to go through. And, as I say, crash test dummies. That bothers me with the safety hypocrisy.
You know who I thought about in that vein when the Eagles announcements came out yesterday? Hundley. How many carries did he have to take in the preseason? And he was an early cut as well. I truly thought there's Johnny Mac's crash test.
Yeah, he was the and Huntley's a good a good example of with the 67-yard touchdown. People get, oh, he had the 67. Yeah, but if you watch the play, that was just pathetic defense from Miami. They had him pinned in, and it would have been a nice gain. It would have been a 10, 15-yard game. Just two guys just completely didn't do what they were supposed to do. So you got to be very careful with those preseason game evaluations. But yeah, with Chikowski, it was. I mean, the Eagles were trying to tell me. I'm angry at myself. I mean, they didn't give him one stinking first team rep all summer. Not one. And remember, both Anthony Harris and Marcus Epps missed some time. So everybody got first team reps. Kayvon Wallace got first team reps.
Andre
Chachere, Josiah Scott. They moved Josiah Scott from cornerback and gave him first team reps. Reed Blankenship, an undrafted rookie, got first team reps. The only one who didn't was Chikowski Tart. And boy, I'm angry at myself. They were saying, look, this just isn't working out in their actions. But again, the contract was to the point, and that's what we said originally when they signed him. The contract tells you a lot, right, Jody? And, they can move on with no repercussions whatsoever. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Didn't work out. And, he's probably not a candidate to come back either. It's very clearly from his side as well. This is probably not the best spot for him. And obviously wasn't getting a lot of attention elsewhere. So this might be the end of the road. Who knows? Somebody will be desperate and probably give him another chance, but who knows if he ever latches on again.
Yeah, two things. Number one, I really thought you were onto something in your article on JAKIBsports.com that maybe the Eagles could negotiate listen, we've got roster crunch issues. If we let you go, wink, wink, nod, nod, we'll re-sign you after week 2. I thought that was a distinct possibility. But with the fact, yesterday I told you, you said that don't know if that'll work. There was nobody else in the league who offered him any more than the Eagles, who signed him to a below-market contract. So I didn't know how much the interest was.
But from my standpoint there, it wasn't about money, because obviously he's not getting a big deal. It's about sort of, people – they don't like the way they're treated, and the situation is they don't think they got a fair opportunity, and they just don't want to be in a certain situation. That's what I meant for more of that aspect. If a veteran guy, you probably thought he was going to be defaulted to a certain extent, and he wasn't, and he was getting passed over and passed. They were moving guys. Like I said, they were moving positions. They were giving undrafted guys. I forget who was on Twitter. The Honey Badger was on Twitter, and he quickly deleted it. This is the only industry where experience is valued, where youth is valued more than experience. So everybody was like raising, what's that about? And it's not the only industry, believe me, but it is one of those industries where, oftentimes, we talk about it all the time with Howie, GMs, and it's not just Howie, GMs default to their draft picks. And those are the guys that get the second and third and fourth chances sometimes. And veteran players, you got to be really good You got to be really good to hit 30 and feel comfortable in this league.
And that's exactly where Jaquiski Tartt was at. And he missed some time in camp for quote unquote personal reasons, right, Johnny Mac? That was what you were told. No one has any idea what that was about, but maybe Jaquiski felt maybe he's a watcher of Macamaca on Birds 365 and saw Dominique come to his defense that he's the best safety on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'd lean more on what the coaches are choosing to do with you in practice, as John McMullen correctly points out, never got any first team reps, as my barometer as to what kind of shape you're in and the possibility of making the roster there, Jaquiski. But he is now an ex-Philadelphia Eagle. And if he's willing to come in and just be a crash test dummy, maybe he gets another job, but I just don't. He didn't show enough to me in camp to say this guy can still play and he can help a football team. The Eagles are not great at safety, and they couldn't even bother to keep him to 53. So I'm not sure exactly where his future lies. What's the future of the Philadelphia Eagles look at safety? We know who the two starters are going to be. They're going to have at least one backup safety, I would think. Then they might have one guy who's a safety / corner, slot guy, can do a couple different things. Are they here on the roster? Is this the position? If there's one position where the Eagles are going to go out and pick up a guy off the waiver wire, is it safety more than anything else? Where did the Eagles go from here at safety, Johnny Mac?
I think there's a couple positions. I think safety's one of them. I think tight end is one of them. I think running back is one of them. I think cornerback is one of them.
You think they're going to make a play for a tight end?
Backup? Yeah. I mean, if somebody's out there, you comfortable with Jack Stoll as the backup tight end?
He's their blocking tight end. Calcaterra is their backup tight end.
You comfortable with all right? You want to go that route?
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if a tight end hits the free agent market that gets cut. That I go, yeah, this guy's much better than unless. Hold on, I'm editing myself on the fly here. If that, and I really don't think. I don't think this is going to happen. If you can find that combo guy. That guy who is like Dallas Goddard, can both catch and block, proficient in both areas. And oh, by the way, if you can do that, chances are you're not going to be on the waiver wire. But if you can find that guy, then maybe they would go to him and let a Stoll go. But if you can't find a guy who can block, they're not cutting Stoll and they're not cutting Calcaterra. So they don't have room for another.
Again, it's about the. It's always about the players available. But I mean, if somebody is available who they deem an upgrade, and I thought you were self-editing yourself because it just came across that the Bills are cutting at OJ Howard. That's a big name trap. I don't know where OJ is from, but it says a lot if they're cutting him. And he's never lived up to the hype as a number 1 overall pick, but he's probably got more talent than Grant Calcaterra. I'm going to go on. It's always about who's available,
right? But John, we could say that about every position on the team.
I'm one of the positions that they're looking for an upgrade. Running back's one of the positions that they're looking for an upgrade. Safety's one of the positions that they're looking for an upgrade. And I'm talking about depth, obviously depth. They tried out a corner yesterday, and all they said, how many good young corners we have, how many good young corners. Kid from the Cowboys, I forget his name, Quandre Mosley, worked out yesterday, because Mac McCain and Kerry Vincent and Tay Gowan have been Mac McCain and Kerry Vincent and Tay Gowan. They haven't been what the Eagles expected. Those are the positions that they'll be scanning the waiver wire for and saying, can we get better? Can we get better at this position? Yeah, I mean, you're always going to default to the guys that you have been with you all summer. So it's going to have to be a clear and significant upgrade from the personnel department's evaluation. If you wanted me to put odds on which is the most likely, it would probably be running back.
Over
because I think they need a fourth running back, and he's not here. And there's already a lot of options out there that would be significantly better. Looks like Drake's going to sign with Baltimore. Everybody's calling on Alexander Madison, which he would be a perfect fit for what this team needs. But I don't think the Eagles would give up what it would take to get him. But it'll be easy for the Eagles to find an upgraded running back. The key is you got to get it right. They picked up Jason Huntley on waivers. You need to get it right. But that's a position where they actually need a body. As bad as safety might look to us from a depth perspective, they don't need a body. They have plenty of bodies to choose from. They actually need a body of running back.
So if they find this running back, and I get what you're saying about it's got to be the right fit. If he doesn't shake out, he doesn't shake out. He's not available. Active on opening day, you think they're carrying 4 running backs?
Well, it depends. Again, if they get Alexander Madison, yeah, he's going to be active on opening day. Yeah, it depends about who the upgrade is. If they get Jason Huntley off the waiver wire and they're throwing a dart, no. But there's an opportunity at running back because they need a running back. So if they get the right one, that's the guy who has the opportunity to make a splash. I'm mainly talking about the body part of it, right? That's what I'm like. If you get Chuck Clark, great. He's a starting safety. We'll see how quickly it ramps up. But they don't need a body at safety. At least they in other words, I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. They already have Josiah Scott and Andre Sacheret and Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace. They might not be good enough, but they have the numbers. They don't have the numbers at running back. They need a fourth running back, and they don't have a fourth running back, so he's not here. So it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think they need a fourth running back, to be 100% honest with you. I think they'll be good with 3. Did you have 4 running backs on your final 53?
No, because there's not 4 worthy. They're not getting through 17 games with 3 running backs. They're not getting through 7. Now, for week 1, yeah, maybe you don't need a running back. Right. They're not getting through 17 games with 3 running backs. I'm not talking about active roster on game day week 1. I'm saying they need 4 running backs on the roster for a 17-game season. Especially
when you say on the roster, are you including the practice squad?
Well, that's probably not good enough. I prefer to have a guy on the practice squad is probably not good enough. Again, I'd prefer to have an upgrade at running back, a significant upgrade, to be honest. Whether they're able to get it or not is the big question. And let's be honest, at the cut down to 53, the odds are against you, unless you're going to make a deal, for a significant piece, and that changes the dynamic. But I don't think the Eagles value the talk with Madison is a 3 or a conditional 4 at worst. And the Eagles aren't giving up that for a running back.
Yeah. And that's why I think they're going to come into the season. I think, and I know our first guest will agree with us, the former Oklahoma standout will be on the Eagles practice squad, and he'll be, quote unquote, their 4th running back. If and when injury crops up, got to elevate him for a game. I don't think they're going to end up. If the perfect guy drops in their lap, yeah, they'll reconfigure the roster to make room for him. But I think they're ready to go to war with the 3 guys they have and Kennedy on the practice squad. We'll ask that of our first guest. He's in the green room. We're ready to punch him up from the 33rdteam.com and right here with us on JAKIB Sports, part of JAKIBsports.com's NFL coverage. Paul Dumwitz joins us next here on Birds 365.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Jim Gardner is an icon.
A Philadelphia treasure.
He's a mentor, a pace setter.
Jim is my North Star.
He's trusted, revered.
Appreciated.
He is Action News.
He's compassionate. Honest.
And fair. He is extremely dedicated, motivated, and always seeking the truth.
He's also funny.
We are a team of many.
Jim Gardner is our leader,
and we're lucky to have him.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
With John McMullen, I'm Jody McDonald. Thanks for streaming in here on Birds 365 on Cut Down Tuesday. Yes, sometime before 4 o'clock, the Eagles will be at 53 men, as will every other team in the National Football League, which means a lot of guys are going to be out of jobs, and we actually feel bad for it, except for maybe Jaquaski Toy. No, that's a joke. Being a little overly sensitive today, but I do that from time to time. Never the case when we bring our buddy Paul Domwich on. How many years you've been doing this? How many years you had to deal with cut down days and watching guys walk off and know that their football career could be over and done with?
Quite a few. Kicking 40.
Damn, that's a lot of guys who you've seen walk out that door.
Yeah. Speaking of all that time of Damo, you go back to the days of 6 preseason games, which was that was a rough go of it. But how much has preseason football changed in sort of that span to the? I mean, it is utterly meaningless at this point. What are we doing? Is there any value in these games at this point?
No, I mean the only reason they still have them is because the owners want the gate. There's been sentiment, especially when they went to 17 games, to eliminate all preseason games and just go to these joint practices. Have teams have multiple joint practices, which are safer, probably just as definitely more useful because your starters are getting reps. But at some point here, we're going to go to 18 games regular season. They'll go down to 2 preseason games. But that's probably the minimum because the owners are always going to want to maximize as many gate receipt opportunities as they can.
Yeah, joint practices are safer unless, of course, someone's helmet comes off and someone picks it up and starts to use it as a weapon against other players on the other team. Then it's not quite as safe as you would.
By the way, real quick, but does anything highlight better? Jody, you and I talk about this all the time. people think Roger Goodell is this all powerful, sort of wizard. And I always point out, no. He's the lightning rod for the owners. They got the power.
He's the shield for the shield.
Yeah. And here's an indication where he has no power. He can't, because it's not collective. He can't, even if he wanted to suspend Aaron Donald, because he can't do it in a joint practice session. He doesn't have the power. So I just want to tell the listeners out there, it's the owners. If you want to yell at Roger Goodell, have at it. I mean, that's his job, to be that lightning rod. But understand, he is not the power in this league. Blame the shadow commissioner. That's Jerry Jones, by the way, who's the most powerful of the owners. But I digress. Back to cut down day, Damo. Sorry for my tangent. Let's start with safety, Jaquiski Tartt. How surprised are you that, this is a guy who played a lot of football on a very good defense for a lot of years. The Eagles are running that same scheme now, essentially the Vic Fangio-inspired scheme. So he's got some experience, at least, the terminology is different and all that kind of stuff. But he didn't get one first-team rep all summer. It was amazing. They changed Josiah Scott's position. He jumped him. Reed Blankenship is an undrafted guy from Middle Tennessee State. What happened, do you think, with Jaquiski Tartt?
Made a bad impression right from the start, I guess. Maybe there were mixed feelings about acquiring him in the first place. Although I can't imagine anyone's going to go against Howie if because Howie obviously felt strongly about acquiring him. He's not the only one. The safety they got from Seattle and quickly turned around and traded him. I thought that guy was a natural fit, a guy that could play nickel and safety for them. A couple minutes later, he's gone. So, there've been there's been some interesting things with several of these guys. You can even look at the quarterbacks with Carson Strong, who never got on the field pretty much. Even though they gave him a ton of bonus money for an undrafted free agent, and soured on him. So, I don't know. Safety next to wide receiver, safety seems to be a position they have a great deal of difficulty evaluating.
And they've got evaluation still to make at safety. But since you went there, let me ask you about quarterback. Is Reed Sinnett going to be on this team's practice squad? They're going to try and do better.
I would think they're going to try and do better. He can be on their practice squad, and 2 days later they could replace him. So they'll keep him. If there's no one better by the time the season starts, he'll be on the practice squad. But I would not get a 1-year lease if I were him. Because they can do better. There's going to be people available that they're going to see as developmental projects that they can put on the practice squad.
There's a number of positions the Eagles can probably get better at when it comes to depth. We just talked about safety. You mentioned quarterback. I look at running back. I look at tight end. A lot of positions. How likely do you think? The Eagles are going to pick somebody up. They always do something. Howie likes to do that. But, I started to think at the end after watching this depth, Damo, I thought it was going to be tough to get down to 53. Now I think it's a little bit tougher to get up to 53. Am I overreacting to bad preseason football?
Maybe a little bit, but this is a team that I think believes it can go to the Super Bowl this year. So you can't have any weaknesses anywhere because there are going to be injuries, and you've got to have people that you can, that can be the next man up. I don't know what they're thinking at running back right now. I still, you're right. I think I heard you guys talking earlier. I still think they need a pounder, a guy that can get that 1 yard on 3rd and 1 beyond Jalen. I was a little bit disappointed in Kennedy Brooks in training camp and the off season. I thought he had the potential to be that guy. Maybe someday he will. He'll probably end up on practice squad, like you guys said. But you go back to 2017. The big acquisition that kind of turned things around for that offense was the guy Jay Ajayi. There you go. Picking up him in the right before the season started was huge. And I think this team needs to do the same, because I just don't have a lot of confidence in Gainwell and Sanders to be a short yardage puncher.
Boy, you saw it 3rd and 4th and 1, by the way. 3rd and 4th and 1 with Kenny Gainwell trying to push it up the middle. Yeah. That is the one weird thing to me, that they're using him as a short yardage back. Now, with Jalen Hurts in there,
I was going to say Jalen's not in the game.
Yeah,
Jalen's in the game. Kenny Gainwell's not getting the ball.
Yeah. Right. Well, if he is, it's going to be coming off off an option play where the gaps are going to be a lot bigger. So, I mean, those are things that they're taking into consideration maybe when they're thinking about whether they need a bigger back. And plus, you look last year, I mean, Jalen was pretty much a certainty on 3rd and short. So, I mean, I believe they had the highest 3rd and 3 or less percentage success rate.
Which I agree with, by the way. And I said Jalen's their short yardage back. But then you have the people who say, well, what about health? What about safety? He's going to get hurt if you keep using him like that. So it's kind of you can't have it both ways from that standpoint.
Yeah. My feelings, John, have always been that that's part of his game. You don't maybe you could have take it away from Carson, because I mean, Carson could run, but it wasn't as essential as it is with Jalen. And also Jalen has a body that can take a pounding. I mean, that doesn't mean he can't have a freak injury. But he's a fullback. I mean, that's basically what kind of body he has. So he can take some hits that other people can at that position.
Damo, I'm going to ask you to look into your Eagle crystal ball here for a second. I think the three of us agree that at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Jalen Reagor is still going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Maybe it goes another way. Maybe he's actually traded. Maybe they get nerve enough to cut him. But I think just nod your head. Yes, he's going to be with the Eagles at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes. That doesn't mean he'll be here in a week, but I think for now he will be.
All right, so take the next step. He is here in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks. We're sitting in week number 4. Are people going to be saying, they were smart to keep him because he returned a couple of nice punts, he actually made a play? Or will people be saying, Howie, you idiot, just when you get it wrong as a draft pick, you got to be willing to move on. Why do you cling to these guys afterwards? Which is more likely, Reagor surprises us that he's actually contributing to the team, or that it just looks with every passing week like it's a wasted roster spot that the Eagles kept him?
Well, it's not like they'd be keeping him in place of someone much, much better. I mean, he might end up being the 5th wide receiver with Deion Kane being the 6th. I don't think anybody's going to say, Deion Kane deserves more snaps. Maybe there will be at some point. I don't know. I mean,
I think there already is, Dom.
Jalen Reagor can play. I mean, he's not an awful player. He just is not shown up. I mean, I think he's still capable of, last year they tried using him on bubble screens and those sort of things, and it didn't quite work out. Maybe this year it does. I don't know. Unless you've got a better replacement. I mean, there's no harm in keeping him right now. He's not going to be a distraction in the locker room. He's not costing you a ton of money that you can't afford. So I'm okay with him sitting there.
Yeah, I never got that narrative of Jalen being, and I see it all the time. I still see it as a low effort player or not. I think he's a low confidence player. I think he's lost his confidence, but I never got the thought that he wasn't busting as what. Have you ever gotten that thought around Jalen?
No, I mean, I agree. And it's, it's hard to believe. Well, I guess when you go back and realize the scrutiny and criticism he took early on, maybe even a guy whose father played in this league and played for this team wasn't ready for what happened. He just had the misfortune of being followed by Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that was bad luck.
And people are never going to let him live that down, which is one of the reasons why I think he'll thrive somewhere else as opposed to here. But no, you're right. I mean, he's always given you 100%. Hasn't been his problem.
And oh, by the way, the Justin Jefferson thing will be revisited heavily week 2 when the Vikings come to town.
You can't get away from it.
Get ready to deal with that again, Mr. Rager. Give me your read on Coach Sirianni. Eagles go 0-3. Yeah, I know the one loss means nothing. They rested all their starter, didn't play anybody. It became as meaningless as John describes it. Is he going to have this team ready for week 1, or are they going to beat the Detroit Lions because they just have that much more talent to the roster than them? Is this team going to be at 100% ready to go week 1 in Detroit, Damo?
Well, they better be, because I don't think Detroit's a pushover. I mean, Dan Campbell's got them going in that direction.
Jody doesn't believe it.
The Lions stink. They stunk last year. They're going to stink again this year. Dan Campbell is.
They got to get better at some point.
I love them on Hard Knocks too. They're going to be a bad football team, and they're going to be a bad football team.
You know how many close games they lost last year? I mean, that's if you can turn that around. You know, I think Nick's. I like the job he's doing. I like the way he's dealing with this team. They seem to have a lot of confidence. You know, I had some questions about the offseason program. I thought he went too light, and I was worried that was going to be a problem as far as lack of repetitions for people like Jalen and how that would come out. But the joint practices have helped. They're healthy. So right now you got to say that the whole approach worked, because they're one of the healthier teams getting the starting line in the league right now.
Yeah, they are. You do have to give them credit from that standpoint. And I do think people are a little freaked out by Miles's injury, but I keep being told it's just precautionary. Javon Hargrave, Greg Ward, who is now finally gone. So Jody's got to close up shop, although he might be back on the practice squad. Who knows? But he's working on an injury settlement, so it won't be for a while. Yeah. Richard Rodgers, another one. Some of these standbys that the Eagles have kept going back and back and back. Is it positive to turn the page on these guys? I mean, you need talent upgrades. So at some point you got to pull the trigger and go with a younger body and trust your personnel people.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I don't know what. I mean, they soured on Greg Ward last year, so it was pretty clear that he wasn't Nick's cup of tea, even though, you know, the influence he had in the locker room and the relationship he had with Jalen. I mean, they brought in Zach Pascal, and that was pretty much the end of Greg Ward's usefulness. So I don't know the severity of this toe injury. I know that if there's any way he could have been out on that field fighting for a last spot, Greg Ward would be. So, you know, a lot of people minimize toe injuries. I mean, they end years, they end seasons. You know, so I don't know what the situation is there. My guess is at some point here we'll hear he's going to get surgery after he gets cut. So, but yeah, you got to turn the page on a lot of these guys, and I don't have much of a problem with most of the people they're turning the page on.
Damo, see which side you land on here, because John and I saw it a little differently when we discussed it in the first segment. Tight end. We know Goddard's a starter. We know Stoll's the blocking tight end when they go to two tight end on obvious running downs. And I think Calcaterra looked good enough last week, and I think the team feels strongly enough about him. I don't think they're in play for a wide receiver off the waiver wire at all. I think that they have the three that they're going to have. When in doubt, Rich Rod on the practice squad again. They've been there, done that how many times over the last couple of years. I don't think tight end is something they're going to be able to, or even all that motivated to look to improve. Do you think they're going to be in the market for a tight end if a really good one that fits their system and their needs drops there? Do you think they make a play for one?
I'd be surprised if they did, Jody. You're right. I mean, I like the three they have. You know, Calcaterra needs to learn how to block better, but let's face it. Marty Morningweg likes to say, you know, all you want out of a tight end is one that's going to lose with dignity when he's blocking.
Just get in the way.
There are very few Dallas Goddards out there. There are very few Kittles or Kelseys. Most of these guys can't block a lick. Zach Ertz was never a particularly good blocker, even though he worked hard at it and gave it his best effort. So, yeah, I think they'll end. Somebody's going to end up on the practice squad in case Stoll goes down, so that they do have a blocking tight end for 12 personnel. But aside from that, I think they see a lot of potential in Calcaterra as a pass catcher, and I think they'll stick with those three.
Grant's interesting to me, Damo, for a number of reasons. And I agree with you guys that the Eagles like Grant Calcaterra. They like his receiving upside. But he's a 6th-round pick. And I'm like, when do you defer to a 6th-round pick like it seems like the Eagles are deferring to a 6th-round pick, who, by the way, missed most of the summer with a hamstring injury, has the concussion issues, which I think are a little bit overblown because he's admitted he probably overreacted. He didn't have a lot of information. But still, very few 6th-round picks come into this league and say, I got a 53-man spot. But it seemed that way with Grant. He didn't even have to be out there, and they were going to default to him. Surprised by that?
A little, but Calcaterra is a 6th-round pick with an asterisk, which is the concussions that basically almost ended his career at Oklahoma. I mean, he was an all Big 12 player as a freshman. Was on his way to probably be a day 1, day 2 pick in the draft before before he had multiple concussions and retired. I think they see the Calcaterra that was before the concussions and believe that's what they have. My concern with and I think they have it as far as the player. My concern is that this is a rough game, and he gets hit a couple more times, and we're back to him announcing his retirement at some point. So, you're always worried about that, but I think they're looking at the upside, and that's what they see in him.
Damo, this is kind of a I don't want to make or break is too tough a term, but a show us what you got here for the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. There are a bunch of different narratives the way they can play out. He could be great and he can get a job as a head coach somewhere. He could be bad and they could decide, we got to go in another direction. Or he can have a good, solid year like he did this past year, maybe a little better because they improved the pieces that he has to work with. But he's not either gone or he's not a head coach elsewhere. Out of those three possibilities, which do you think is most likely? JG is still here with the Eagles as their defense coordinator. He's a head coach elsewhere, or the Eagles have gone another direction with their defensive coordinator position.
Well, he is on the wrong side of the ball to be a head coach, but I still think if I had to guess, he'll be a head coach next year somewhere else. I think he's going to be very successful this year with a unit that's got a lot more pieces that are versatile and can be successful, and that he can change the approach he took compared to last year with the whole bend but don't break thing that was driving people crazy. I don't think we're going to see Jim Johnson. He's not going to be that kind of guy. But I defended him last year because I just felt he didn't have much and he didn't know what he didn't have. So he was just trying to minimize the damage. This year, he's got people that can play, that he can move around, that he can kind of keep offenses off guard. So I think he's going to be very successful, and he'll end up with a head coaching job.
Since Jody went down the coaching staff wormhole, I want to look at the offensive side of the ball, and I'll ask you, what should the Eagles' offensive philosophy be? Should they be trying to sling it around because they got A.J. Brown and they're going to pay him $25 million a year? Should they lean on what they were successful at last year? You said take advantage of Jalen Hurts' skill set, his traits. Combination of both. What should they do?
I think a combination of both, John. I don't think they want to sling it around. I don't think Jalen's ready for that. I don't think it's his strong point. But you're going to see a mix of everything this year. RPOs, deep balls to some of these guys when things open up, and a lot of runs. Not as many as last year, but I could see them. I mean, 46% run is pretty heavy in this league. I mean, they passed that by a mile last year, but I mean, I think we could see that this year, like a 54 pass, 46 run, assuming they're successful, assuming that, that line is both doing a good job of run blocking and a good job of protecting him. So I think there's going to be a mixture here. They've got so many different. I mean, the guy I think is going to really have a breakout season. Not so much A.J. Brown, and this is Dallas Goddard. I mean, I think he's ready to become the next great tight end in this league. And I think I think he's going to be a huge factor in the red zone this year. I think he's going to be a huge factor on third downs. Plus, what he brings to the run game is something not many tight ends.
I'm with you. I said I did my top Eagles players. I have Dallas, just pure football players, not impact, because obviously it's the quarterback. I had Dallas Goddard number one. He can do everything as a tight end, as you mentioned. Yeah. There's like two of those guys, maybe three left, and he does everything at a high level. He's a great football player. I agree with you there. Sorry, Jody. That.
No problem.
The thing is, you talk about scouting, and they lucked out. They had no idea.
Oh, they had no idea he could block. None. It wasn't asked to block at South Dakota State because he was such a good receiver at that level. They had no idea. Yeah, it was amazing. They got him, and it was like, wow. Yeah.
And I'm with Damo, John. You're talking about his overall game, which you're right is as good as there is in the National Football League. I think he's right there with Kittle, as a matter of fact. But on the producing numbers end, I'm with Damo. He's going like 6th or 7th tight end drafted in fantasy leagues this offseason. I think he should be 2 or 3. I can't believe that they're putting guys ahead of him that I just don't think is going to be the case. I think the quarterback's going to throw the ball to him a lot this year for the Eagles. Damo, yesterday I did notice that, and probably because of the Tyrone Smith injury, most betting outlets have now made the Cowboys and the Eagles the co-favorite in the NFC East. I actually had the Eagles slightly ahead of the Cowboys before the Tyrone Smith injury, so this just fortifies for me the Eagles' position as the favorite in the NFC. If you were doing the handicapping from a wagering perspective, you good with them being right now, even at this time? Should the Eagles be a favorite? Should the Eagles be a big favorite? How do you see the comparison between the top two teams in the NFC East?
I'd put the Eagles as the favorite right now. Not a heavy favorite. I think it's going to be a competitive division with them in Dallas, right down into December. But Dallas always finds a way to screw it up.
Usually in the playoffs, though, Dom.
Yeah,
they usually get
this year might be a little bit.
Yeah,
early.
I mean that Tyrone Smith injury, and because he's been banged up the past couple years, and when he's not on the field, they're not the same team.
No.
And all of a sudden they got to throw. They have made the move. They're Tyler Smith, their first round pick. They're going to throw him into the deep end of the pool and play left tackle. Oof, that's going to be ugly. That's going to be the Jim Schwartz startup cost moment when they watch Tyler Smith. So I think things have tilted towards the Eagles' way. But let's put on our negative hat. If things could go wrong, besides injuries, because injuries can affect anyone, they just affected the Cowboys. Are there any concerns that say, all right, this team could underachieve because of this?
Besides injuries, yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone still is. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be terrific this year, but I don't think we know for sure. Even with the weapons, even with the protection, even with the second year in the same offense for the first time since high school, until we see it happen in real time, we're not going to know for sure. Which is why these first few games are going to be so important.
Yeah, see, I'm going safety. I really think, and not because Jaquaski Tart died out on us either. It's because they weren't all that good to Anthony. 0 to 10. 0 being how the hell is this guy still in the league? 10 being Pro Bowl. What kind of season do both of you guys think Anthony Harris is going to have this year for the Eagles?
5. I would go 5.
That's 5, isn't he? He's right in the middle. You can't go higher than 5.
No, he's an average player.
Nobody's stepping up either. I mean, Kayvon Wallace is, probably is on the, could be on the roster bubble here, if not for the fact that he's a 4th round pick. So yeah, I mean, it's. I just think that Gannon can find a way to survive without great safeties. They certainly don't have great safeties, but without it being a liability week in and week out.
But let me ask both you guys, John. I definitely want your answer on this one. If Gannon is so married to the Vic Fangio system of doing things like many other teams in the National Football League, isn't a playmaking safety a big part? Are we banking on Marcus Epps being that guy?
Well, they do like Marcus a lot. You can't get everything you want. Remember, the Eagles wanted Marcus Williams. I mean, they went heavy in on Marcus Williams. They just outbid. They got outbid. So they knew they needed an upgrade at safety. But, they got upgrades at edge rusher and nose tackle and one technique and Jordan Davis. They got an upgrade at linebacker. You can't get a couple upgrades. You can't get everything you want in one off season. But their actions showed that they knew they needed a safety. They were unable to get it. So now you got to cobble it together. And the hope is Marcus Epps can take a big step forward. I think people are starting to take that for granted. I'm a little concerned. I like Marcus, but we haven't seen it, similar to what you said, Damo. We got to see it first. But he definitely has looked like the best safety on this team. I don't know if that's a positive note. I mean, I would rather have, Jonathan never stops talking about Harrison Smith. Yeah, he would rather have Harrison Smith in his prime. He knows. It's not like he doesn't know. But you can't get everything, right, Dama?
Right. Yeah, you lean on your linebackers a little bit more. You mix things up coverage wise. And I think they'll be fine against the run where the safety doesn't need to be as big a factor because of the huge human being they're going to be putting the defensive tackle. I agree.
All right, Damo, you've done your due deference to ex-Eagle coach Deuce Staley and/or Coach Campbell up there in Detroit. I'll be watching Hard Knocks tonight, entertained and interested, but the Lions stink. Give me the reason why the Eagles are going to have a tough time in Detroit week 1. Where I just put these two rosters on a scale, and it goes like this: Eagles over the Lions. Why don't you see it that way?
It's not that I don't see it that way. I just don't think that we're talking about a pushover here because Detroit wasn't a pushover for anybody last year.
Except
I was going to say, you did see the Eagles-Lions game, right?
Well, okay.
The Eagles.
A couple, yeah. But I mean, they're playing in Detroit. They're playing in Detroit.
That's where the Eagles hung 44 on them last year. I'm just saying.
Home opener, though. Everybody's excited. I've told Jody that. Everybody's excited, optimistic. A little bit different home opener versus 0-8 or whatever the heck they were.
Never bet week 1 because you're going to lose.
Never bet week 1. Jody, you know that. Never bet week 1.
By midway through the third quarter, they'll be saying SOL in Saul. Better call Saul because it's SOL, same old Lions. Not gonna be a problem.
The Lions, they have some good players. Frank Ragnow might be the best center in football. Panay Sewell.
Whoa. Jason Kelsey could be watching right now.
Frank Ragnow.
You just put Frank Ragnow ahead of Jason Kelsey as the best center in football.
Frank
really?
Ragnow.
Did you say that, McMullen? Can we rewind this tape?
I rewind it. He is the best center in professional football. Was hurt last
He's going
year.
to be the second best center. He might be the third best center on the field that day if they decide to put Jurgens into the game.
Oh, would you stop? Tell him, Damo. Frank Ragnow is a player, is a dominant player.
I agree.
Was injured last year. Panay Sewell, their first round pick.
They
have Taylor Decker. Frank Ragnow's far more proven than Panay Sewell. He's already proven he's a top level player. They got Aiden Hutchinson. They're, when you're as bad as the Lions have been for as long as they've been, you start getting these first round picks, and you wake up one day and say, wow, we got some pretty good players. At some point, it's got to turn around a little bit. That's my theory.
Buying any of this?
No,
not
well.
Week
He's
one.
used to the Jets, so same old Jets.
Exactly.
Same old Lions.
The Lions are the Jets of the NFC.
Yeah,
and they don't get out of their own way. It's SOL. That's
there's something to that.
It's going to happen week one.
There's something to that too. You gotta. It's a bad organization, so you got to factor that in.
Yeah,
correct.
Pete Damo though, Paul Domowitch, read him, the 33rd team. JAKIBsports.com. 53 man. Any surprises? I'll leave it there with you, Damo. You expect any that moment for the fan base?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there aren't many secrets. I mean, we already know Ward's gone. No, I don't expect anybody that's going to knock our socks off and surprise us.
So Jalen Reagor's going to be here, is what you're saying.
Unless the guy, Andre Dillard is still here, and there are teams that need a left tackle. He's had a good camp. I don't know if they're just not getting anything close to the kind of offer they want to hear, or if they just feel that they're going to keep as much depth as they can possibly hang on to.
Yeah, the difference is I think they're actually being offered some decent compensation for Dillard, and they're sitting on that fence. What's he worth versus what do we lose if we move off him? I don't think they have any offers for Reagor. I don't think teams are putting conditional 7th round picks out there for Reagor. That's why I think it's either he's here or he's cut. I don't think there's any chance that he's traded.
Yeah.
Not getting cut with that cap hit. I'll tell you that. Yeah, he's going to be here. And he's going to be the punt returner too. So maybe that's the way for the Lions. Maybe a muff punt in week one.
Damo, great stuff. Always a pleasure whenever you come on board. We're going to have you back up in a couple of weeks. Thanks for jumping in with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Damo.
Paul Domowitch, who's doing some writing for us in season on JAKIBsports.com. Read him on the 33rd team. Like he told you, he's only been watching these guys walk out the door for the last 40 years. Are you headed over there today to watch guys wrap up their stuff and get out of there? Or
Howie's going to have his press conference at 4, a little bit after 4:30 most likely. So no, not going to watch guys pack up their stuff, but we are going to get to talk to Howie Roseman about the cut down.
We'll talk more about the cut down next, right here on Birds 365.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Jim Gardner is an icon.
A Philadelphia treasure.
He's a mentor, a pace setter.
Jim is my North Star.
He's trusted, revered.
Appreciated.
He is Action News.
He's compassionate, honest,
and fair. He is extremely dedicated, motivated, and always seeking the truth.
He's also funny.
We are a team of many.
Jim Gardner is our leader, and we're lucky to have him.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
You got your Mega Mac guys here on Birds 365. McDonald and McMullen hanging with you. Chris Franklin from NJ.com should join us less than 20 minutes from now. Thank Paul Domwich for jumping in with his measured opinion, as he always does when he comes on with us. All right. I want to give props to one of our guys on the stream here. You just mentioned Harry Roseman's going to speak today. GI Zoe Sports Radio, who streamed in just a couple of minutes ago. I really want to hear his sorry ass. Well, wouldn't go quite the way that he chose to go, but his point is a good one. Talking about Harry Roseman, excuse as to why you give an undrafted free agent that kind of signing bonus. We know he's referring to, but then don't play him any snaps in practice or the preseason. Honestly, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I did want to talk to you about the quarterback, third quarterback, where the Eagles are going to go from quarterback. Our own Rick Saratella, who comes on after us today, who I've been having on as a guest for over a decade. I think he's great at the NFL draft stuff, puts a lot of time and effort into it, gets to know these guys. I've been following his ranking, having him on as a guest for years. He stuck behind Carson Strong all year last year. Had him rated highly in his draftable quarterbacks. Even when he wasn't drafted, he still believed in him. And that was one of the reasons why. And I saw Carson Strong play a couple of games last year, and he looked good to me. Didn't wow me, but he looked good enough. All right, he can be an NFL backup type guy. So I may have cut him a little bit more slack just because Rick was as staunch in his support of him. You were at practice every day. I went to one practice. You saw a lot more of Carson Strong than I did.
Not that
None of us saw any Carson Strong in the stinking games. They didn't even make him a crash test dummy. It was ridiculous how they used him in the game or didn't use him in the games. Was he really that bad in practice?
Yes. It was bad. It was. I thought Clayton Thorson was bad. He was worse than Clayton Thorson when Clayton was here. Man, every time he got out there, it was ugly, Jody. It was, the Eagles have these developmental periods where, a lot of third teamers get reps. And every time he got, it was just as likely to be an interception. It was like Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC Championship game. It was bad. He didn't earn his reps over Reed Sinnett, who wasn't good either. Maybe in a different era, you'd have a little bit more time. You have the more preseason games. You have the more practices. You have the more reps to split out. In this environment, in today's environment, when everything's at a premium, and Nick said after the game, before the game, actually, when he was talking about practices, we wanted to get the reps for Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew. And then for the game against Miami, he wanted to get reps for Gardner Minshew and Reed Sinnett because those are the guys that are going to be here or might be here in the case of Sinnett. More likely on the practice squad than the active roster. And that's how they went about it.
That's my next question. We can get to that. But
yeah, I mean,
I want no part of Reed Sinnett here.
Well, if you want no part of Reed Sinnett here, which I have no problem with, I mean, I think they can do better. I'm with you. You don't want Carson Strong here because Carson Strong ain't better than Reed Sinnett. It's not close, Jody. It was a blowout.
I get that, and I trust you. You need a scout's eye as much as you have a scout's eye as anybody else. Here's the question that I have for you about a question that you may or may not ask Howie Roseman, that anybody may or may not ask Howie today. My father was in professional sports. He went from being a scout to being someone whose job it was to scout scouts. And then he became a scout again after he decided $1 million decisions and high-pressure situations were no longer for him. Just go back out and evaluate the player and put a grade on him, give you a scouting report on the guy. But when he was the general manager, that was his job. He needed to scout his scouts. Other people were watching the players. You took the information. You decided how much was accurate and the like. You do your own film work, whatever. A little different with football than it is scouting high school players in Major League Baseball. But will anyone ask Howie Roseman today, who was the scout who recommended Carson Strong? Because you had to believe in somebody there, Howie. You gave him $300,000 guaranteed money, and he was a ghost during the preseason games, and you couldn't cut him fast enough when you had to get to 80 men. Somebody advised Howie in that role to make that decision. Any chance he throws somebody under the bus today?
No. And no one will ask that question for a couple reasons. One, Howie's not going to tell you. Now, he might tell me in private. He's not going to throw one of his scouts under the bus. And the perception is, and this is wrong. This part of it is wrong. The perception is that $320,000 in the NFL is a big deal. It's not a big deal. All it indicates is it's a rounding error. All it indicates is they thought at the start of the process that Carson Strong had a chance to be an NFL player. And they valued him to the point of an undrafted. Remember, you're starting as an undrafted free agent. They valued him very highly as an undrafted free agent. That is fair to say. That is very fair to say. When you cut any undrafted free agent, the one who got the most guaranteed money or the one who got the least, which is usually zero, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter from a standpoint of the finances of the football industry. If he made the team, Jody, the rookie minimum salary is over $700,000 now. So he'd be making over $700,000 in that 320. It wouldn't be in addition to that 320.
Right,
that
just
320
guaranteed. Right.
is folded into that. It is the 320 is meaningless from a football salary cap management standpoint, other than, if you want to put a percentage on it, 98 or 99%, because you gave them $1, you gave them something. But the people are overreacting to the number because of if he stunk up the joint, you move on. That's every undrafted free agent. And then, you pump out your chest if Reed Blankenship makes the team, and they gave him, I think, $50,000. Hey, I got Reed Blankenship.
Right. Perception plays big in this, John.
Yeah.
Actual reality is the point you're making. You're right. It's not that big a deal. Jeffrey Lurie has the 10th most valuable franchise in the National Football League, worth, what is it, like $4 billion?
Yeah.
Dallas is number one at 6, and the Eagles are high 3 or low
Eagles
4
are always
billion.
last in the NFC East. And I have no idea how the Washington Commanders could be worth more than the Eagles, but that mess of a stadium, of an owner, they can't find a place to give them a stadium. Those numbers are ludicrous. Nothing against Forbes. Sorry, Forbes. I mean,
Forbes is pretty good at crunching those numbers.
Well, how are they pretty good? How are they getting to the Washington Commanders? Because of the markets?
They've been an accepted industry standard for how many years, John?
That doesn't mean they're above criticism. Valuation, you know what we know? We know the Denver Broncos are worth $4.6 billion because they were for sale, and that's what they got. That's what we valuation is a bunch of hooey. It doesn't matter unless you got some. A, it doesn't matter unless you're selling. B, then you got to find somebody to buy it. And if you can get somebody to buy the Washington Commanders for more money than the Philadelphia Eagles right now, whew, they're poor businessmen.
Yeah, but the Washington Commanders could be for sale because there is an owner that's under siege as compared to the Philadelphia Eagles, which I don't think Jeff Lurie is planning on selling. I think he's planning on handing it over to his son, who, oh, by the way, we haven't mentioned in months. At some point, we got to bring Jeffy's son back into this.
Julian, maybe Julian picked Carson Strong.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
If that's the case, you know that's staying under wraps. You'll never get an answer on or off the record, McMullen. You'll never get an answer on that one if that's the case. All right, here's my point about Carson Strong and Reed. I had a buddy on from Miami, Zach Krantz, does the morning show on WQAM to do a Dolphin preview for me on CBS, and he mentioned Reed sin it to win it. That's what the Dolphins actually thought last year. But the Eagles came in, swooped in, grabbed him when he hit waivers. He stinks too. Maybe not as bad as the Detroit Lions, but he stinks too. If you're telling me Carson Strong was worse than him in practice, oh my God.
It wasn't even close, Jody.
Mackerel, he had to stink. He stinks out loud, I guess. But Reed Sinnett just stinks, period. Chris Strebler out there on the open market. Now, give me comes the Jody the
Strebler?
Excuse me?
Did they cut him?
Oh, yes.
Oh, what? See, I haven't seen
because they have Wilson, they have Flacco, they have Mike White.
Yeah.
They've got three quarterbacks. So there's Strebler had no chance. He was just out there. He was supposed to be the crash test dummy that Reed Sinnett turned out to be. Oh, except he kept moving teams down the field and sticking it in the end zone and winning all three games in the final possession of the game for the Jets the last couple of weeks. He proved he can throw. He proved he can run. He could be number 3 here in Philadelphia. He's 4 with the Jets. Other teams, he'd certainly be a 4. Is that a guy that the Eagles should be looking at? Because I think for the quarterback factory that the Philadelphia Eagles are supposed to be, they got 2 losers this year. For me, Carson Strong, loser. I have to take your word for it because I didn't see it, but I believe you and I believe the Eagles. And Reed Sinnett, I saw with my own 2 eyes. He can't play. He can't throw. He's not a quarterback. That's why I think there's a better chance the Eagles make a roster play for a quarterback than a tight end, Johnny Mac, should they be in the cornerback, third-string cornerback market.
Yeah, I mean, they should look for an upgrade, whether it's the practice squad or the 53. They should try to get better than Reed Sinnett. Strebler, I remember because, with the Jets game, and I didn't know where he came from. I don't think he's their type of quarterback for the developmental prospect because he's too old. Number one, he played in Canada, as I recall, won a Grey Cup, I believe. I don't think they want a 27, 28-year-old guy. I think they want a developmental quarterback in that role, a guy who's, 22.
All right, so let me give you another one. I'll give you another one. What happens if the guy who marched it up and down the field against the Philadelphia Eagles this last week? Strebler did it week 1 in the preseason. Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, well, Skylar, yeah. Skylar's more of the fit because Skylar's a rookie. So, yeah, I could see that. And if they can get better.
He was a 7th-round pick, and Eagles didn't have any 7th-round picks this past year. Yeah. So maybe they even had a pretty good report on the guy and would have been interested and may have used a 7th-round pick if they had the chance. They didn't ever have the chance. he, as you say, fits if their plan is we need a young guy, we need a developmental guy. If that guy shakes out, I'm claiming him. I'm putting the claim in immediately. I'm not even waiting to negotiate. He's mine if the Dolphins decide to cut him today.
Yeah, Nick seems very comfortable because we asked him this down in Miami. Seems very comfortable with the 2 quarterbacks on the 53 philosophy. He doesn't have an issue with it. Howie's tended to want to keep 3, and he's in charge. I don't know if I just claim him to put him on the 53. If you can get him on the practice squad. But
if you had to, so you wouldn't claim him to put him on the 53.
I don't
think Thompson's good enough.
I don't want a 3rd quarterback on my 53 unless I can get, a real guy that I know. I can put him on the practice squad.
So which do you want a real guy you know or a young guy who hasn't shown anything yet, but it's developmental?
No, I'm saying my personal opinion is I don't want a 3rd quarterback on the 53. There's no need for it, especially in today's world where you have the 60-man practice squad, 16-man practice squad. You have the 6 veterans. There's no need for it. You can have a special teams player that you maybe use, and then if injuries happen, then you just elevate them the next week. I'd rather, from a strategy standpoint, I'd rather go that direction. There's nobody out there good enough to waste a 53-man roster spot. They don't want a veteran, so there's nobody out there good enough.
So let me make this the last question before we take a break. And Chris Franklin from NJ.com scheduled to join us next. The past couple of years, I was okay on game day when the Eagles only had 2 active quarterbacks. If the starter goes down via injury and the backup comes in and the backup turns his ankle, somebody else has got to get behind center for however many
and you don't have Greg Ward anymore.
Greg Ward is gone. He was the guy. He was the emergency quarterback. He was given his walking papers. I'm a fan. I'm a little bummed out. Truth be told, yeah, I knew it was coming, so it didn't bother me that I had prepared myself for the fact that Greg Ward, even though it might have come a day earlier than it could have, it was coming. There was no dodging that bullet. Knew it was happening before 4:00 today. Who's their emergency quarterback?
I'd have to think about that. Maybe they can go Lane. Lane played in junior college. Maybe they can have the first 6'6", 330-pound emergency quarterback. I'm sure some of the receivers played quarter. Look, you're screwed at that point. You're screwed. But I can't worry about that. Jalen Hurts, it doesn't have a history of significant injury. Gardner Minshew doesn't have that history. I mean, if you're down to the 3rd quarterback, you're screwed in the NFL. Most teams are screwed if they're down to number 2. So, I mean, I can't.
But you have to at least contemplate what you would do if thrown into that situation.
Well, yeah, you contemplate it.
Nick Sirianni can't on the sideline go, we don't have a 3rd quarterback. You win. And walk off the field. No, you have to finish the game. There has to be a plan in place.
Exactly. You contemplate it. But I'll say this, and I'll look at it, and I'll try to think about who played quarterback in the past, and we'll get Chris. But how long did they have Greg Ward?
3 years, right?
A little bit.
3 or 4.
How much did he play quarterback?
He never played quarterback.
Well, so, I mean, what are we worried about?
But he took, now you would know better than me, and they might have done so when you guys aren't allowed in practice. He probably took a couple of reps.
No, he didn't take a quarterback rep. He had a couple trick plays. No, they don't get reps.
That counts as.
Well, I meant as, getting the ball as a receiver and turning into a thrower. He didn't get a rep at quarterback. They don't. As the great, as I told you, my favorite quote in NFL history, surpassing John McKay, was Tom Moore talking about Jim Sorgi as the backup quarterback to Peyton Manning and why he doesn't get more reps. And Tom Moore said, if 18 gets hurt, we're fucked, and we don't practice fucked. They don't practice fucked. They don't give reps to Greg Ward playing quarterback in practice.
Understood, and that is a great quote, but sometimes you get fucked. So you better at least have a plan for it. You may not practice it, but you better have a plan for it.
They have a contingency, but
contingency is the word.
They're not giving that guy. They don't
I'd
get
love for someone like John McMullen or Chris Franklin to ask the question today of Howie Roseman. And feel free to state it this way. Listen, if you guys get fucked and you're down to your third quarterback, what are you going to do?
By the way, Jody,
if you need to say, Jody McDonald asked me to ask you, Howie, if you get fucked, what are you going to do on when you get down to your third quarterback?
Chris can
put it
take
on
that.
me. I'll take the hit. I won't be there, but I'll take the hit. Go ahead, put it on me.
That would be a hit because you don't get Howie a lot, so you got to ask him relevant questions. So, Chris, you can take that hit in the green room. But I will say this. Carson Strong did get reps in practices. They ain't giving reps to Greg Ward playing quarterback. They can't even get reps for stinking poor Carson Strong.
We shall see. Chris Franklin is, at least he's enjoying Jody McDonald losing his mind here on Birds 365. I'm glad I'm entertaining someone. I hope I'm entertaining a couple of yous out there and streaming world. We'll come back. Chris Franklin, NJ.com, joins us next here on Birds 365.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Plan your day with confidence.
Definitely want to keep the umbrellas on hand.
And keep your family safe with Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Well over 7 inches of rain.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising right now.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. On TV, on 6abc.com, and on our streaming apps.
And that's when we go severe weather mode and on the air for you.
Action News and AccuWeather. The team you trust.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the poles and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Cut down day for the Philadelphia Eagles today, and that's what we're talking about here on Birds 365, McMullen and McDonald. And yeah, I don't expect either of you guys to ask my question to Howie Roseman today because it would be a misplay. Not the fact that I'm not proud of the question or that I'd really like the answer to the question. Just today's cut down day, so you don't need to be rubbing salt in the wounds when Howie's got to actually.
Poor Carson Strong. You know, if Tyree Jackson was healthy, he'd be the obvious choice, but he's not healthy. I forgot about Tyree.
Not going to be active. Certainly week 1. Well, we'll go there with either one of you two guys who are there practice all the time. We going to see Tyree Jackson this year?
I think we will. I think we will, and it's going to be. It's going to be. They're going to have to do some tough choices because you're not going to carry 4 tight ends. You don't think? So, I could see. I don't want to be. I could speculate. I could see the Eagles were having trouble with the passing game. Maybe you let go Stoll because he's your best blocking guy, but you also have Calcaterra, who's a good route runner along with Dallas Goddard. I think. I personally, I like Calcaterra more than I like Stoll right now, personally, but. I think we will.
Yeah, I mean, he tore his ACL in week 18, so that was early January. That's early September, 9 months. He's on the PUP list, so he's got to miss the first 4 games. I think he'll be ready to go by week 5, and then you got to make a decision. And who knows? Maybe that decision is made for you by that point. Maybe somebody's not playing effectively. And it's easy to get Tyree back. But you're right. It could be a difficult decision. You reported, Chris, kudos, 2 difficult decisions for the Eagles. The Greg Ward cut, who's been here for a long time now, and Richard Rodgers as well, who is eventually going to catch up to Julian Vanderbilt and how many times he's been back. But so the start of cut down day, are we going to see any splashy surprise curveballs, trades? There's talk about Jalen Reagor heating up. You know where that's coming from, Chris Franklin. But we'll keep that to ourselves. Anything surprising you expect to see?
I think it's going to pretty much stay chalk. I mean, I would have probably thought heading in there, I would have thought, hey, you know what, maybe they carry 3, but I think Reed Sennett kind of sealed his fate on Saturday with some of those decision making. I question a lot, but I thought the biggest surprise for me early on was that Tart was released. I mean, and I shouldn't say surprise because he's a veteran and his contract would have been guaranteed, but given I thought he outplayed Kayvon Wallace, I thought personally, I thought he was a guy that can give you that big nickel look with Harris and with Marcus Epps, but I just don't. The Kayvon Wallace experiment for me is over, and he's still restoring on his roster. I mean, things can change. Maybe pick up somebody, claim off waivers by tomorrow, stuff like that. But I think Tart for me, even though it was the day before, but today I don't think there's going to be any true big surprises.
All right. Why do you think Tart is no longer an Eagle then?
Because I think they didn't want to guarantee that contract. I think when you look, especially if the Eagles only had like say Marcus Epps and nobody, like if Anthony Harris wasn't here, I think he would be the spot. It would make sense because he'd be a starter. But I think when you look at like your third safety, who I don't think you're going to use that much in like that role, in that type of role, to see the field as much, and then veteran guy having to guarantee that contract. I think the Eagles are going to try to save as much money as they can to roll over for next year. So, and if something were to happen to him, or he falls off the leg, or he becomes like Andrew Zadejo Part 2, then you don't go that route.
Exactly how big was Tart's contract? That they're actually worrying about it.
No, it was one. It was close to Anthony Harris with incentives, so it wasn't. I think he had an opportunity to make up to $2.5 million with incentives. So I think it was less than that on the base package. But you do bring up an interesting point, because when the Eagles signed Jaquiski Tartt, I said at the time he might start or he might get cut, because if he doesn't earn a starting job, he's not going to help you on special teams, and that factors into it a lot more as a backup player than a starter. When you see the versatility of Josiah Scott and Andre Sacheret, do you think that has been the difference between those players and say Jaquiski Tartt?
I think that helps push that along, especially when we saw Scott. Scott actually played decently when he was in there.
Yeah.
Being that he plays well in the middle of the field. He's got the experience being in those tight quarters and shutting down those slot receivers. So I think that played a role. And Shasher, is one of the better gunners, and is one of the better gunners in the league when he's given that opportunity. So it was a tough. And you don't think of it as this way. I don't think it's a good way to say it was a good stacked safety group. But when you look at what some of these other guys do and the versatility that the Eagles covered at a lot of positions, I think that helped those guys out a lot.
This is one of those days every single year here in Philadelphia. You can make the argument it's like 365, but there are certain days that are heightened more than others, and this is one of the heightened days for Howie Roseman as the general manager of the Eagles, because he's going to make decisions about the roster on players that he had already made a decision on by bringing them in. And then are you either looking bad because you've decided to go in another direction, admitting a mistake, whatever else? I'm going to make each of you guys Howie Roseman here for a second. Step into the Eagles general manager's shoes.
It's good because I'm very untrustworthy.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Shot on Howie score. And you're worried about me saying, fuck the Howie. You took the shot at him there, McMullen.
That was a joke.
Just talking theoretically.
That was a joke. I suppose, now Chris knows, I suppose, Jody, you did not see the Athletic Ben Standing.
Oh, yeah. Most distrusted.
Least trustworthy.
Oh, no.
That's all. It was a joke. It was a joke.
But that's from somebody out of town. You're one of his boys. You're going to be one of the guys standing in front of him today.
Well, don't
Not
tell
the guy
that
from
to him.
Athletic who said he's the most untrusted.
No, he didn't say
in the
it. The guy from the Athletic didn't say it. It was a survey of, I believe, 26 NFL
4 of them, and Howie Roseman led with 4, which is
and Joe Douglas was tied.
Yeah,
Joe Douglas, who's the nicest guy in the world, by the way. Joe Douglas. Yeah. But
I read that article quickly and moved on. But I'm not going to let you two move on. I'm putting you in Howie Roseman's shoes, okay?
All right.
What is the minimum in return that you would take to trade Jalen Reagor? If you're going to move on from Reagor, you're going to trade him, which is less of a cap hit than cutting him. There's a reason for it, in addition to the compensation you're going to get back for it. You're the general manager. You're stepping into Howie's shoes here. You picked them in the first round just 2 years ago. Add whatever credence to the decision you're making because of that. What's the least you will take in exchange for Jalen Reagor? Franklin first.
I'd probably go a 5th with a conditional 4th based on how much playing time he gets.
You stole my answer. Chris is so bright. Chris is so bright. 5 conditional with a condition. I would push. I'd take a 5, but I would push for it to turn into a conditional 4, especially if I got him in.
All right. Yeah. So now, John, you first. I'm the pick a team, any team, Baltimore Ravens. I give you a 6th rounder. You're saying no?
Yeah, I'm saying no because I don't have a punt returner. He's going to be my punt returner. Yeah,
we're making the call in 10 minutes. You still got Covey and whoever else on your roster. You're really keeping Jalen Reagor because you have faith that he's going to be good at punt returning this year?
No, he's the best I got. I think it's a more important role than people think, and I don't think the Eagles have an obvious replacement. Now, it's, they've been trying a bunch of different bodies back there. I haven't seen anything from Britton Covey as a returner, and even less as a slot receiver. So I'm not excited about that. So you're talking about me as the GM. Yeah, I would just hold on to him. And then there's the injury part of it. If you want that skill set if somebody gets injured, and hopefully it clicks, and I keep them as insurance.
You know what I would do? I'd probably trade Jalen Reagor in a 5th to them if they give me Chuck Clark in a 7th.
Oh, I can get Chuck Clark. He's out.
Chuck Clark's not leaving.
Yeah.
That was worth a shot. I got to call him you got to do that. I kind of want Lamar Jackson. Throw that in the deal too while you're at it.
I'm going to throw in. Yeah, I'm going to throw in stuff if I can get a starting
and give them Anthony Harris and ask for Marcus Williams too while you're at it. So why not rebuild the safety room all in one big fell swoop?
Might as well. Hey, if I'm going to play GM, I'm going to try to get everything I can possibly too. Yeah. Hey, throwing Harbaugh to be the special teams coach again. All right, cool.
The reason why I asked the question, the way I asked the question, Jeff Mosher, another good friend of the show, comes on whenever we ask him and has some good sources around the league. He just tweeted out in the last 10, 15 minutes, buzz around the league that Jalen Reagor's trade market is heating up. What that means, he doesn't go into details. How big
I know what it means, but I can't say what it means. I mean, look, I think there are teams that would trade for Jalen Reagor, but the problem is Howie is probably asked for more than what I asked for. And I don't think he's getting that. So how far does he come down? I think it would be best for both cases to have a change of scenery here. But it's, it's good. The Eagles aren't cutting them because of the dead cap hit. What do you think of punt returner, Chris? Would you be comfortable with Britton Covey? Would it be somebody else? Would they try a Kenny Gainwell or somebody maybe outside the box?
See, I would try Covey only for a simple fact that you need somebody who's sure-handed back there, and
you no longer have Greg Ward for that,
right? And he's going to be it's going to take a while for him, even if they want to bring it back. It's going to take a while for him to recover.
He's not healthy, yeah.
And Aaron Moorhead said it too. You want somebody who can track it. Like, that's the most important thing, because you see him back there always helping out the returner. So they covet somebody who's more sure-handed more than anything. And I've seen, like, when you're watching the punters, I mean, Covey's been the one that's been the most reliable in that role when it comes to not dropping punch. I think I may have seen him drop maybe one. That's about it. And that's granted, that's playing ADD and going, okay, what's over here? Is there? Oh, okay. Oh, right, he's doing that, but he's the one I only feel comfortable, feeling comfortable with. I mean, you got Quez, but if you expect Quez to have the role that he has in this offense this year, you don't want to risk him back there. So, yeah, you're probably gonna have to go with that. You're probably gonna have to go with Covey if that's the case. And I wouldn't be surprised if Reagor's doing the Lambeau Leap personally.
We talked about waiver wire. Is that a potential waiver wire? The Eagles might look for somebody with return ability, because they need a kick returner too if they don't have Jalen Reagor.
That's why I think Watkins, if they don't have Reagor there, I think they let Watkins handle that role. I think they're comfortable with that, because 7 times out of 10, ball's going in the end zone, just see them go to the arms like this. Okay,
that was important, but he was not good at it early last season. People forget Quez was the lead kickoff returner, and he was bad at it.
Yeah.
To the point where Jalen was an upgrade. So
I wish the team had addressed this during the draft. I really think so, especially one of the 6th-round picks. I know you got Kyron, I know you got Grant, but I think especially with where the team finished last, I think they're in the bottom third in both. I think, at least I know, for kickoff returns, they're in the bottom third. I think that's a special thing, especially given this is the potential this offense has for being good. You can't continually have them start in field position with it inside the 20 where you can get the ball easily to 25 or a touchback. So I will look for that personally, but I can't think of any names offhand unless there's a big cut or somebody else like, hey, okay, get that guy. But yes, that's a position of need still, I think, for this team.
Chris, when will you, which means everybody who reads you also will know, when will you know if Jason Kelce is starting for the Eagles on Sunday? And how will you know?
I think we'll know probably that Wednesday practice when you see him around. I mean, he's out there stretching, even though he didn't participate. He's out there stretching, so he's starting to ramp up a little bit more. I think he's going to be ready to go. I think he's going to be there for week 1, because if there's any time, when he's looking like that one too, if he's 50-50, he's going. Yep.
Now we're all day to day, but if he's in Detroit, he's playing.
Yep.
So
you ain't keeping him out. You ain't keeping him out that way. I think it would have to take a tear, and even then, knowing him, he's going to probably have to patch it up. He's going to have to work on that.
He'll brace it up and still go.
Yep. So I think I wouldn't say, I say early next week. We definitely know for sure, and then go from there.
Yeah, and that's obviously the strength of the Eagles, should be the strength of the Eagles, that offensive line. We haven't talked about that when it comes to cut down. On my final 53, which I'm already screwed because I picked Jaworski Tards. I went very heavy on the offensive line. I went 10 offensive linemen because I think it's the most depth, and they don't have depth at quarterback. They don't have depth at running back. They don't have depth at tight end. They don't have depth at safety. Is 10 too much? Or
That's the amount I had. And I had Opeta me in the one. Although I really thought Coyote Awosika was going to be the guy that eventually was like earn a 53-man roster spot. But looking at some of the inside pressures he gave up on Saturday, I think Sua Opeta still does that. But I'm not still comfortable with Opeta in pass blocking. I think he's a really good run blocker. I mean, when he was lined up next to Mailata when Dickerson was out on a Wednesday, they opened big holes. Thursday, excuse me. They opened some big holes. But the problem is, if you got a blitz coming up the side, you better say how many lookout blocks you're going to get from on that side. So I think they keep 10 still because the team historically, they like to build around the trenches. I think they keep 10, but so I wouldn't worry about the depth. As I think they're pretty good depth wise at that position along those positions.
All right, Chris. On a day like today, when there are going to be guys losing jobs, and you feel badly that that's the case, some people's dreams are going to end. The usual talking points on Birds 365 are pushed to the background, but let's bring them back up again. Are we good to go at quarterback? Because Jalen Hurts had a perfect quarterback ranking in the preseason. Perfect. John McMullen keeps reminding, perfect quarterback ranking for Jalen. So that's good. The Eagles got no question.
By the way,
quarterback, right?
That is an NFL preseason record.
Has to be. Has to be.
Yes.
I think they're set at quarterback, and I think he's going to play well enough to we are going to be talking about him for the next 4 years from after this year. I really think he's that.
All right, then here's the follow-up question. Give me the date. Look in your crystal ball. When did the Eagles extend Jalen Hurts?
As Miss Cleo's cousin, I think they extend him after the week. It's calling me now that you do it after. I think we'll see it after. I think it'll be after the season because because I guess I can imagine right now. You go through there, they win a playoff game, they get knocked out by the Bucs or the Rams. They get quiet. They say, you know what? We're thinking about it. We're going to assess the season. We're going to see how it goes from there. Meanwhile, I think around probably like week 17, 18, there's some back channels going on. Like we think we want to keep him, and then we'll hear it sometime around right before the draft that they extended him. So I think it's going to happen. It's a matter of just they'll wait a little bit. Try to play a little hardball.
By the way, speaking of perfect passer rating, you know what a perfect passer rating on Saturday night? Tua. Yeah.
He better have.
Guys, jump on that bandwagon. I'm inviting anybody in.
Now, I
want to get on that Tua bandwagon. I don't think either one of you guys have been there yet. You can join me if you want.
No, I'm just concerned. I assume he played before. I'm just concerned that Jalen just keeps the record, the preseason record. That's very important. I assume he played before that, so I assume Jalen has the record. And,
no, Tua wasn't perfect for the entire.
He will never lose that record ever.
No.
Moving
forever
forward,
etched in there. Forever etched in. But I was shocked by their speed. Dolphins have a lot of speed, like depth speed too. Like they're a fast team, so they're gonna be really good. I think they're.
Yeah. Speaking of, I joked. I probably joked to you at the game that, I had a tough time getting to 53. Getting down to 53, then after that game, I had a tough time getting up to 53. I wanted to get rid of everybody. But if there is, and you've been at every practice, every preseason game, if there is an Eagle that gets claimed on the waiver wire, give me a prediction who that might be.
If they cut him, I can see Reed Blankenship. He can be one. And then I can see Deion Kane. I really think Deion Kane can latch on too, because I thought he showed a lot when it came to his quickness. I think he showed he's a very detailed route runner. He puts himself in positions to make the catch. And you see when, especially on those back shoulder feeds that the Eagles ran with Gardner Minshew and him, I think he has a lot of skills. I think that a lot of teams will covet. I think he reminds me in a way he can be like a Zach Pascal type guy. I really truly think he can be that. And if there's a team that with a wide receiver need, I can see him going down there. I truly think he can be a really good wide receiver in this league.
That would be something that would probably sit in Howie's craw, because if Frigga stays and Kane goes somewhere else and plays well, just another guy that Howie passed over to keep, Jalen Reagor. You better root against that. All right, here's what I'm rooting for this upcoming season, and I need both of you guys' input on this. I made a wager yesterday.
Oh,
I wagered that the Philadelphia Eagles would beat the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl this year.
Whoa.
By the way, I wagered that the Miami Dolphins would beat the Philadelphia Eagles as well. I played it both ways. What do you think I should get as odds for the Eagles beating the Dolphins or the Dolphins beating the Eagles?
Eagles beat the Dolphins plus 210 after what I saw. Dolphins, plus 210. So the Dolphins minus 210 when it comes to that. I think it's Dolphins.
You're not understanding the wager. You're talking about in that game on that day. No, I'm talking about making the bet now. And all these other potential outcomes could happen. Like, I don't know, Buffalo against Green Bay for the Super Bowl. Certainly a much more figurable outcome.
I would think the Eagles would have an easier path. I'm not a betting guy, but I would think they would have the easier path to the Super Bowl than the Dolphins, because the AFC is so much stronger on paper. That's how I would, but I don't pay enough attention to those types of bets.
Then let me lay it out for you. And I was actually surprised. The Eagles at the spot where I made my wagers yesterday were 25-1. They were down from 30 to 25. I don't know why, because they just got beat 48-10. But preseason games don't mean anything, as per my buddy John McMullen here. Don't read anything into them at all. But they did come down 5 clicks. But that might have more to do with just Tyron Smith being out. So the Eagles are now the favorite in the East, or at least co-favorites in the East. So it was 25-1. Dolphins are 40. Didn't come down at all after putting 48 on the Eagles. But the payout is exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether the Dolphins beat the Eagles or the Eagles beat the Dolphins. 500-1.
That's a weird way that they have set it up.
Same thing. And you would think that the Eagles would be favored over the Dolphins, because one's only 25-1 to win their conference. The other one's 40-1 to win their conference. But it's the same exact payoff. So
I can see that from a Super Bowl standpoint, because if the Dolphins get through that AFC, at that point, they would be considered a really, really good team, I would imagine. Whereas even if the Eagles make it through the NFC, I don't think it's, they'll be considered a good team, but I don't think it will be considered as big as getting through the AFC.
So Dolphins, Eagles get to the Super Bowl. Dolphins are the favorite, is what you're telling me.
I would think so at that point. Right now, I would say the Eagles would be favorite. But at that point, if the Dolphins made it all the way through that AFC, I think that would turn them into favorite.
So if the Dolphins and Eagles were playing next week instead of the Eagles and the Lions, if they were going back down to Miami, you think the Eagles would be favorite?
Not in Miami, but it would be, maybe the Dolphins, the old school, you give them 3 points. Maybe the Dolphins are favored by 2 points, that type of thing.
If it's in Miami, I probably say
if it's here, 5-6 Eagles.
I'd probably put Dolphins 4.5. I thought they looked that good. Granted, especially it's something about the Shanahan coaches, the Shanahan tree coaches that give the Eagles fits. And just around that thing. I don't know.
I love Kyle Shanahan, but 22 starters, 21 of them didn't dress for the Eagles. Who cares? Who cares?
There's so much eye discipline in the way the Eagles like to have trouble with keeping contained some of those times. I can see it right now. Also, Tyreek Hill on the end around because I don't know, somebody's going up there like, oh, what's this? Oh, wait, he's behind me. Oh, too late.
All right, CF, need you on the record because we're going to get everybody on the record between now and September 11th. Do you agree with me that, and I'm going to be nice because I've been a little nasty all day today. Do you agree with me that the Detroit Lions are just not a really good football team?
By the way, I got a big cut I got to throw on you guys.
Yeah, I think they're not good. I don't think they're a good team. Nice pieces, but team overall across the construction, I don't think they're that. The game's gonna be closer. It won't be 30 points, maybe like 15-10. But yeah,
with split the final quarter in half, 7.5 minutes to go. Will Eagle fans be sweating?
Nah, I don't think so.
Neither do I.
Think so.
I'm glad you're with
All
me.
right.
All right, what do you got for us, Mac?
Last one for me. C. Franklin News. Read Chris at NJ.com. Kellen Mund waived by the Minnesota Vikings. I know Jody doesn't like this player.
No,
Eagles need a developmental quarterback. He was terrible, but obviously Nick Mullins was decided to be better. But the Vikings have a rookie coaching staff. Who knows if they know what the heck they're doing? Eagles love developmental quarterbacks. They need a better one than Reed Sinnett. Roll the dice.
Vikings quarterback. What position? Viking coach. What position did he play?
He played quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he.
I'm going to trust his judgment that if he thinks Kellen Mund stinks, and I think Kellen Mund stinks, yeah, I'm going with Kellen Mund stinks.
But do the Eagles think Kellen Mund? Is he an upgrade over Reed Sinnett?
He's an upgrade over Reed Sinnett, but I don't think he's the right guy to be on his. Like right now, I wouldn't take him as a 3. You know who I look at seriously? Jack Cohn. I look at a guy like Jack Cohn to if they need to sit him in there.
But try to Kellen at least has some movement skills, so you can run the same offense. Where Jack Cohn is that traditional 6'5" drop back passer, like Carson Strong, basically,
right?
With a good knee. I don't know.
I'm just trying to help a brother out here. Chris Strevler. Think about it, Eagles.
Too old for the Eagles.
Chris.
Too old.
He had a good preseason.
He can play. I think they should be worried more about who can play than the age on the birth certificate.
He's a Grey Cup champion, too, Chris Strevler.
He's a winner is what he is. He's won 3 games for the Jets since preseason. Driving late in the end zone, stick it in.
And he won a Grey Cup. I don't know. Where did he go to college?
Better than Reed Sinnett. That I can pretty much guarantee you.
Yeah.
I think I know Reed was a finance major. I think if his football career is done, I think he'll do well in that sector. But if he's manning the first team offense right now, it's going to look a lot 3 yards in a cloud of dust because it's going to be. I don't see it anymore. I thought he looked good early on, but now.
I hope Reed Sinnett put his money in good stocks or mutual funds or whatever. Hope the financial knowledge that he had, he's done well at building up that portfolio because, I don't know that he's going to be drawing an NFL check this year. Mr. Franklin, thank you very much. Thank you for laughing when I tried to be funny. We appreciate whenever you come on and lend us your Eagle insight. We'll get you on within the next couple of weeks.
And I'll see you later, Chris.
I'll see you later. And it's always going to be on Burst 365, the PG-13 edition. It's always fun.
Oh, yeah.
We wasn't quite PG-13 today. But
TV-14. TV-14. R today. Rated R. Yeah.
Chris, that is Chris Franklin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Chris Franklin, Chris Strevler. We like the Chris's today. I'm telling you, Eagles, reach out, claim the guy. The guy's a stone cold winner. Won a Grey Cup, won 3 straight preseason games. At least he played more snaps than Jalen Hurts did. Jalen Hurts may have had a perfect quarterback ranking, but how many snaps did he play? About 18? Not even 12?
11, I think.
11?
11. No, might have been 8. I don't know. We got to go, though, because Rick Saratella's coming up. We got to hit the break.
Quickie timeout, come back. We'll put a bow on the show. Rick Saratella's next.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Jim Gardner is an icon.
A Philadelphia treasure.
He's a mentor, a pace setter.
Jim is my North Star.
He's trusted, revered.
Appreciated.
He is Action News.
He's compassionate.
Honest.
And fair.
He is extremely dedicated,
Motivated. And always seeking the truth.
He's also funny.
We are a team of many.
Jim Gardner is our leader, and we're lucky to have him.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the poles and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, we are pretty much done here on Birds 365. Rick Saratella coming up next. Johnny Mac, at what time do you expect to be face-to-face with the general manager of the Eagles today?
4:30-ish, 4:30-ish, somewhere around that time. Davis Webb got cut, too. Another quarterback out there. Probably a little bit too old, though.
No. Repeat after me. Strevler for the win.
Strebler too old. Too old for the Eagles. Developmental quarterback.
So you need more reads to that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Got to get to Rick Saratella, the football playbook. JAKIB Sports.
Playbook coming up next, partner. I'll see you tomorrow in 2 and 2.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.